Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Rennch. On today's show, we are going to install an AutoPower roll bar as well as a carbon fiber roof on this 1976 Porsche 912. We have a few technical things to address before we get into anything. The first of which is we have to cut the roof off of this car. This is a sunroof 1976 912. It's literally like 50 to 80 pounds above your head that we're going to turn into like 3 pounds above your head. You would never want to do this without having some sort of roll bar or roll cage in the car, just in case there's a rollover. So Mark is here and we're going to tackle various things at the same time so that we can get this thing dialed in. I don't know if you guys have ever seen a sunroof 911 before, but there's all kinds of motors and all kinds of stuff up here. But the issue is we can't actually get the roll bar to go as far back as it needs to go because all of this is interfering with the roll bar. So I have to cut this out first. Now, that might just seem like, hey, no problem, just cut it out. But the issue is you don't want to cut too far in. We want to leave ourselves a little bit of lip here. So I think what I'm going to try to do is maybe get the blade of the cutting wheel to basically pop through the roof in a couple of spots. And then I can connect them with a line. And then use that line as my template to cut the rest out. Now we will eventually be trimming this back even more because we want just a little bit of overlap with the roof, but I think that's going to be the best bet.
Oh my god, it's so heavy. Holy crap. That is so heavy. Oh.
All right, what do you think?
Holy hell. That's...
Now lift that one. See if there's any difference.
Oh my god. That's ridiculous.
All right, you got a sweet glass sunroof now. The whole reason for all of this, by the way, is that this was all rusted out and it's really hard to make a good roof panel match because there's just so many complex curves and I don't have any tools for that. So, you know, we said, hey, let's go carbon fiber, and here we are. Let's get a couple pieces of wood on there and put 2 clamps on each side and like kind of do some rough marks of...
Well, let's do the... We can clamp it across the front like this.
Yeah. Do some rough marks on where things need to be. In fact, we can do probably all 6. 2, 2, and 2 and like get it to where we want it.
Yeah.
And then do some marks. 1/4 inch and then we just knife blade it and that'll be perfect. Now that we have the roof cut and Mark is trimming the roof a little bit on the right and left side, I'm going to try to fit the roll cage where it's supposed to be now that there's no interference from the roof. Once I figure out exactly where it's supposed to be, I'll drill a few holes, and those will be our guide points of where to grind the Worth undercoating so that I can weld in the plates on the backside. First we will bolt it in. Once it's where we want it to be, I'll tack the nuts onto the plate and then come back and like re-weld everything up so it looks awesome. There's something about a roll bar in a vintage 911 that just looks cool. And now you can see how much the carbon roof really eliminates things. We still have a bunch of cleanup to do here on the inside. And you can sort of see the edge here. This has been knife edged a little bit so that we can blend the filler down. We're trying to make as little filler as humanly possible. So when this thing settles into where it goes, which is sort of in this gutter, we'll be able to use just a little bit of filler here and get it to dial in. This cage was hitting the roof before, and now I've got like a full hand width. So that's how much the sunroof was doing. So for now, we're going to leave this portion and move on to something else. Basically, these are the A-arms of this car, and they're relatively cleaned up, but there are some brackets here for a front sway bar that's beautiful, but they need to be welded on, and they need to be welded on somewhere around here. So I'm gonna bang that out really quick before Mark heads back to San Diego so we can have this whole thing powder coated. So we have these brackets for the Tarot front sway bar, and they have to get welded onto the OEM A-arms. So they have to be exactly 120 millimeters from this. They give an amazing set of directions. Let's see if you guys can see this. Yeah, that's the entire set of directions. So 120, so that goes right there. About like that. And I'm here at the TIG table, trying to do this nice. All right, well, that was an incredibly productive day with Mark, and it was kind of crazy. Once I was welding those A-arms, once I went back to steel, it felt easy next to aluminum, which is so incredibly picky, like I've mentioned before. Now, I think these actually turned out really well, barring the fact that the first one I did, which, by the way, I welded all the way around, I welded 90 degrees wrong. So I had to figure out a way to grind it all off, and then I had to re-weld, like, actually on the A-arm because I had gouged it by grinding it all the way off. And then I re-welded it, and here's how it came out. It came out really well. But mistakes were made, they were corrected, all is well in the world. So the carbon roof we're using is the version 4 from Jan Mertens. I hope I'm not butchering your Swedish name, sir. But it's a beautiful piece of kit. It's sold in the US by Mark Zerlinden, and I'm following the entire process by Jonas at Island Works, Sweden. If you guys haven't been following his build, he's doing incredible stuff. He's a guy who's just an engineer and a designer and a 3D modeler that's been taking this, I think it's a 1990 964, and trying to make it 200 kilograms, which is however many hundreds of pounds lighter than its original state. And he's doing this incredible engineering work inside the car, not the least of which has been installing this carbon roof. So we are following his process to the T. So the next steps for the install are to basically outline where we've trimmed the roof, and that way we have like a hard line of where the roof's going to be. I want to trim about 25 centimeters above that and give ourselves a little bit of a lip, but not too much. We want to make sure the glue will seal all the way around the perimeter. And I want to make a nice precise cut for this. Then prepare the outer lip and hopefully glue the roof on. Okay, I'm gonna do my best to make this cut as precise as I can. You've just seen me use my calipers. I've got basically a 1-inch lip all the way around. And look how much meat this thing will take off. I mean, there's a lot of extra stuff that doesn't need to be there. The roof itself needs about a 1-inch overlap, so you can see the Sharpie line is where the roof is. And I'm going to be cutting all of this. Wish me luck. All right, I got the clamps together for a dry run here. Just wanted to kind of go through it once before I put the glue down. I've never done this before, never done the glue before. So I just want to make sure every corner is nice and tight. And yeah, now I got to pull all of them. I'm going to acetone inside the roof and then on the car itself. And then I have the glue on the inside, which is this panel bond, this 3M panel bond. And I have to be good about, knowing exactly where to put it and make sure that it's all good. Well, it is the moment of truth. Mark, when you watch this, I hope I did okay. The instructions call for acetone. You got to wipe the piece down, wipe the car down, and then follow the instructions on the panel bond. And by the way, this panel bond is used on most modern cars, including a lot of Porsches, so I'm not super concerned about its ability to hold. Even with the clamps on, I could feel how stiff the roof was, and theoretically, that's how stiff it will be after the panel bond is on. Put it on the piece, put it on the car, clamp it down, see you tomorrow. So I'm not sure if I mentioned this, but this is carbon fiber and then Kevlar reinforced underneath. Looks very cool. It's got this really cool crosshatch Kevlar pattern. I don't know if you're new around here, but around these parts, we send it. So let's send it. I wanted you to see how I spread that. I was paying a lot of attention to getting the glue all the way up onto the front edge and the back edge because I need that to be a really tight seal. Less important on this side because I know that this is going to eventually be a tight seal, but really important here because you'll see when we prepare this, I'm going to end up sanding the front and back off. So let's get this thing on. Yeah, I got a nice seal everywhere. You can see it gooping out everywhere. That's a good sign. clamp it. I'd like a little more overlap in the front lip. It's not quite far enough up. Thankfully, there's a little setup time. Definitely easier with two people. It gets going quick. Okay. Wow, that was a pain in the ass. Oh. Okay, a couple things. Number one, that is definitely a two-person job. That was a pain in the ass. It's like you clamp one thing and that thing moves. Number two, these are better than these. Unequivocally better, way more force. I could eventually get some clamping force on there, but not nearly as much as I could get with that. I'm looking for the glue to push out from the carbon, and it is all the way around. So I feel pretty good about the seal. I wouldn't mind like 2 more clamps, maybe in the middle there, but hopefully it'll be okay. Overall though, I'm very excited. I think it's gonna look great. Mark, I hope you're psyched about it. So let's wait till morning and take these off and see how we did. All right guys, it's the next morning. I just got up. Moment of truth. We're gonna see how this thing stuck. It's been 14 hours. And yeah, hopefully this thing did what it was supposed to. Wonder how many times I would have pinched my finger. Probably all of them. All right, that's solid. Board stuck to that one a little. Okay. Seems all right. That looks good. Okay. Encouraged. Let's go the other side. All right. Okay. Boom. All right. Wow, that is really stiff. Wow. All right, so it's totally set up. I've got a lot of gluey overflow here, but apparently what you're supposed to do is grab a sander. So this edge is hanging over by that much, like quarter inch or so. And the move is you're supposed to take your little sander and literally grind off this edge until it gets to the factory edge. And then I did the same thing here with the front. So I don't have time this morning to do the entire thing, but I thought maybe I would do a little section. So let me do that real quick and see how it goes. I'm not sure if you can see the overlap there, but I've done about half the roof and just sanded it back very quickly. You first saw me use like an 80 grit on a grinding disc, and then I just did an 80 grit on flat. This could use a lot more love. Maybe get in here with a wire brush and then sand it back, but the edge ends up getting nice and smooth. Same thing here with kind of the knife edge. And then I did the same thing in the back, where now you get this nice, beautiful edge. And here it's like really overlapping. This is like almost a 1/4 inch. And then this one's right up against the back here. So just a little bit of sanding. We can continue to dial this in with like a higher grit until it's nice and smooth. And then we'll need a little bit of filler on this left and right side and kind of blend. I'm still trying to convince Mark to do a fade where it kind of fades from the white and then you still see the carbon. But I think he also wants to do like a stripe where you'll see the carbon on a stripe. But check this out. Here's a last little treat. So one cool trick to see how something's going to look when it's clear coated is just to use some sort of like household spray on it. And you can see, let's do this. Get it all nice and worked in. And now check this out. It's still wet, but look how luscious and dark and shiny the carbon gets, which is exactly what it'll look like when it's fully clear coated and painted. Isn't that cool? It's just lovely, glossy clear coat. Then it dries to a nice dull matte finish, but you can see what it's gonna look like when it's ready to go. Look at that. Carbon roof install, check. So unfortunately, I don't have time to weld the base plates for the roll cage in this episode, but I wanted to get this out to you. So thank you for watching. You guys rock. Mark, I hope you enjoy your new carbon roof. That was really cool. If you guys have any questions about how to install a carbon roof or where to get it, feel free to reach out to me on Instagram at Rennch, of course. Until then, I will see you next time.